1,145 chapters. Never have I ever felt that it was too much until I had to go through every single one of them to answer the simple question of how many double-page spreads does One Piece have? Me, you, and anyone who read the title are probably the only people on Earth to know that there are exactly 1,268 spreads in the story so far, with 468 of them already being covered. That leaves us with exactly 800 double-pagers. What are the chances of that happening? Like 1%. Okay, let's save the rarity talk for later. With 800 spreads in just 548 chapters, that's an 86% increase, almost double compared to pre-time skip. But now that I've collected every spread in One Piece, what kind of information can I derive from them? The first thing to come to my mind is their location in the story. Just by knowing what chapter it's in, we can get a few interesting stats such as the amount by 100 chapters, by saga, by arcs, and even how many double pagers each chapter in the story has. Okay, I might be getting a little ahead of myself. Let's start by looking at every 100 chapters of the story. With only 2 post-time skip chapters taking place in the 500s, it still managed to get 4 spreads in. But funnily enough, the 500s have still not been beaten. Even after 15 years, the 1000s came close, tying it at exactly 178 spreads. Seems a bit too coincidental if you ask me. Though the 1100s could do it at the pace it's going, 99 spreads in just 46 chapters is insane. It could even pass 200 at this rate. The final saga is built different. Dividing them by sagas shows us another side of the story. Surprisingly, Dressrosa has the lowest percentage of double pagers with only 1.1 spreads a chapter, very close to Thriller Bark, but it would still take second place pre-time skip. Not a single saga has dropped below 1 spread a chapter, whereas that was commonplace earlier in the story. And now the final saga is averaging 1.9 spreads, taking the number 1 spot, comfortably knocking out the Summit War saga after over 500 chapters of dominance. But if we're talking about arcs alone, it would be a different story altogether. So let's do it. With only 10 arcs compared to 23, that shows a great change in the story, but we're not here to talk about that. Starting off, Return to Saba Odi has the highest percentage of double pagers, 2.2 a chapter with 11 and 5. Though considering its length, let's ignore it. And the Reverie for now. Only 2 arcs have less than 1 spread a chapter, both around the same percentages. Whole Cake and Dressrosa are both top 10 in the story when it comes to spreads per chapter, yet they still lose out against Impel Down. Moving to the top 5 arcs in the story, 4 of which reside post-time skip, a clear trend can be seen. The spreads just keep increasing from 1.5 to 2.1. To me, this proves One Piece is coming to a close soon. It's revving up for another Marineford, maybe even hitting 4 a chapter this time wouldn't be out of the question. Just as sagas are composed of arcs, arcs are composed of chapters, so let's go through all of them, one by one, to see which has the most spreads. 426, that's the amount of chapters with double pagers, about 77%, a 66% increase from pre-time skip. 185 of them contain 1 spread, while 241 have 2 or more. That's a bit unexpected, it's more than doubled. 147 have 2 spreads, and I find it crazy that there are more chapters with 2 double pagers than chapters without any spreads at all. Only 122 chapters don't have any. That's insane. I made this video series genuinely expecting there to be a few hundred spreads. Have I been reading One Piece with my eyes closed? Okay, I need to finish up the stats. 69, yes, 69 chapters have 3 double pagers, of which 47 appeared in Wano and after, that's 68%. But only 15 chapters have 4 spreads, 6 of them in the 1000s alone. The 900s, on the other hand, only had 1, though almost half the chapters that have 5 spreads are in the 900s, but no chapters in the 600s or 1000s. Only 2 chapters have 6 spreads, 998 and 647. One setting up fights, the other concluding them. That's a nice parallel. But the number 1 spot goes to chapter 646 with 7 spreads in a row, not being matched or exceeded in 500 chapters. Kinda crazy. And fun fact, every chapter with 7 spreads had them in a row, so they all share the title of the most spreads in a row. I really thought this video was going to be easier than last week's, but no, it just has to get harder every week. A nigga can't catch a break, but even if no one watches the videos, getting to answer the questions in my head does feel really good. I can't lie. I was going to try to make more subjective opinion-based videos, but just couldn't. Even if they're less research-intensive, allowing for more time scripting and editing, which I desperately need. I just don't think my opinions have much value yet, but this right here, I couldn't find a single answer online as close as mine, though I did have some help from the pretentious critic since his list gave me a chance to double-check my answers. The One Piece community sure is amazing, so I'll return the favor, though he's never going to watch this, and me dragging out the video probably hurts it, but what? It's gonna go from 1 view to 0. Who cares? I gotta thank my fellow fellow One Piece fan here. Enough yapping. I missed 7 spreads in my first pass, mainly due to what I call split spreads. They look like 2 separate pages when apart, so most people just separate them. But if you look closely, you can tell they're double pagers. At least I think so. So for the 7 I missed, I'm going to try to give back a few. I think he missed, as he counted 1,119 spreads to chapter 1070, and I got 1,124. That's a difference of 5. First off, there's a duplicate of the last spread. In chapter 1050, that's why I counted 1119 instead of 1120 for the pre-time skip. The only spread I think he missed was in chapter 480, but as it's one of those split spreads, it makes sense it was overlooked. The other 4 are in chapter 1061, 882, 712, 690, and yes, that did take me a few hours to double check. And no, I don't regret it. Bye.